So I want to talk about something that's been sitting with me for a while now, and it connects directly to everything we've been discussing about spillover, electromagnetic reality, but it goes in a direction that actually it might be the most important direction of all. Not just that NASA receives $70 million every single day, but before you think, oh, here we go, another conspiracy rant, just hold on. Because what I'm about to show you isn't about NASA specifically. NASA is just like a really clear example of something way bigger. So $70 million a day, right? And what are we getting for that? Well, according to their own documentation, and this is on their website, you can look this up. Every single image of Earth from space is a composite. It's CGI. They literally tell you this. Robert Simmons, the guy who created the famous blue marble image, he calls himself a visual designer. Not a photographer, a designer. So we're paying $70 million a day for computer-generated images of something that, if it existed the way that they claim, should be the easiest thing in the world to photograph. Just point a camera at Earth from space and click, right? Should be simple, but that's never happened. Not once, not ever. And you might be thinking, okay, Dusty, so what? So they're lying about space. What does that have to do with my life? I still gotta wake up and go to work every day and pay my bills. Well, that's exactly what it has to do with. Everything has everything to do with your life, because this isn't about space. This is about a pattern, a system. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, and I'm gonna show it to you. We're gonna follow this. We're gonna follow this together. And it's gonna take us some time, and it's gonna take us somewhere you might not expect. So, buckle your seatbelts and stay tuned, because this series is gonna go crazy. Alright, so let's actually break down what we're not getting for $70 million a day, because this is where it gets really interesting. There are a few things, about 4 basic things that should exist if we live on a spinning ball orbiting the sun, and none of them exist. Not one. The first one is there's no authentic photographs of the globe. None exist. And that's what we covered in the last video. Composites, CGI, fisheye lenses that curve the horizon, no actual photographs. The second, no authentic photographs demonstrating that curvature exists. You can go up in high altitude balloons, check high altitude weather balloon footage, and regular people do this now, and the horizon stays flat. It rises to eye level. That's not what should happen on a ball. Third, no measurements have ever been conducted that demonstrate curvature. The math says 8 inches per mile squared, right? That's their math. So after 10 miles, you should have 66 feet of curvature drop. After 100 miles, that's 6,666 feet of curvature. You should be able to measure that. You should see that, but you don't. Lasers across lakes stay level. They stay at the same distance above the ice for miles. And many people have done these experiments, and you can do them yourself. The lake is level. Bridges don't account for it in their engineering specs. And another one, no test has ever demonstrated any movement of the Earth. Not spinning, not orbiting, nothing. Michelson-Morley in 1887 tried to detect Earth's motion through space. They couldn't find it. So they changed the theory instead of accepting the results. Now, I'm not trying to prove flat Earth right now. That's not the point here. The point is that the globe Earth has never been proven. These are unfalsifiable claims that we're all just supposed to accept. And we're paying $70 million every day for it. Let that land. That's just the beginning though. Because once you see this pattern, paying massive amounts of money for unfalsifiable claims, you start seeing it everywhere else. So let's zoom out and ask a different question. What did humans have before all this? Before governments, before corporations, before this whole economic system that we all seem to be trapped in? Well, most of us. What did we have? We had air for free, just everywhere, unlimited. We had water, rivers, lakes, rain, free. You just collected it. We had land, not property, just land, earth that you could walk on, build on, grow food on. It was just there, free from God. We had energy, the sun, every single day providing more energy than humanity could ever use for free. We had food producing capacity, seeds that reproduce themselves, animals that reproduce themselves, soil that regenerates itself. A whole system designed to provide abundance. All of this was given. None of it required money or permission or a job or taxes. And now you need permits to collect rainwater in some places, which is crazy. You need permission to be on land that nobody created, land that was just here. You need to pay for water that falls from the sky. You need to pay for food that grows from the ground. You need to pay for energy from the sun. Or rather, you pay corporations to restrict your access to it and sell you worse alternatives. Everything was free. Everything that was provided by, let's say it, God, by creation, by the natural abundance of reality. All of it has been enclosed, claimed, commodified, turned into products you have to buy. And here's the thing. It's not like resources are actually becoming scarce. We have more productive capacity now than ever in history. The technology exists to provide clean water, food, shelter, energy to every human on Earth. So why are people struggling? Why are people working 40, 50, 60 hours a week and still barely making it? And if you do the math, for each person in the United States, there's supposedly like 336 million people in the United States. And based on all the land in the United States, there's enough land to give every single person, not every family, every person in the United States of America, 7 acres of land. There's 7 acres of land for each person in the United States of America, and somehow we've been crammed into cities. But actually, there's something even more insidious happening here. Something that goes beyond just physical resources. They figured out how to enclose time itself. Think about it. You wake up, most of your day is already claimed. You've got work 8, 10, 12 hours a day after getting your kids ready for school. Then you've got to commute. Then you've got responsibilities, bills to manage, errands to run. No choice but to take care of your family because they need to be taken care of. And by the time you're done, you're exhausted. So what do? Collapse into entertainment, TV, social media, sports, whatever helps you decompress. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need to decompress after being extracted from all day. But notice what's not happening in that cycle. Deep thought, contemplation, community organization, investigation of the system itself. You don't have time to question these things. You don't have energy to question these things. And even if you do start questioning, well, you need your job to survive. You need to pay rent. You need to pay your mortgage. You need to keep your head down, because stepping back to really examine things, to organize with others, to challenge the system, that's punished economically. You don't have time for that. You lose your job, you lose your house, you lose your ability to survive. So the enclosure, it's not just resources and land, it's your consciousness, it's your attention, your lifetime energy. They've trapped time itself inside an economic system that ensures you never have enough of it to actually figure out what's happening. And that's huge. And This is where it connects back to cosmology, to NASA, to all of it. Because keeping people confused about the nature of reality, keeping people thinking that they're on a random spinning ball in an infinite meaningless void orbiting a sun, that's not just scientific fraud. That's psychological containment. If you think that you're insignificant, accidental, just a speck in an uncaring universe, why would you believe that you have the power to change anything? If you are stuck in that paradigm, there's not even a chance that you think that you're special when you are. So let's actually look at how this works as a system, because it's brilliant in a really dark way. You've got people working constantly, right? That's layer one, economic pressure. But that's not enough by itself, because humans are resilient. People figure things out. So you need layer two, fragmentation. Divide people into groups, left versus right, vax versus unvaxxed, flat earth versus globe earth, black versus white, Americans versus immigrants, men versus women. Keep everyone fighting each other over differences that are real, sure, but that distract them from the actual power structure above all of them. Then, layer three, complexity. Make everything so complicated that it appears to require experts to understand. Economics, law, science, medicine, all of it hidden behind specialized language and credentials. So even if you have questions, you're told, well, you're not qualified to have an opinion on that. Layer four, gatekeepers. People in place, often well-meaning people who appear to believe what they're saying to defend the system. Scientists who defend cosmology without ever questioning the fundamental assumptions. Economists who defend the financial system without following the money. Doctors who defend medical protocols without investigating alternatives. And then layer five, the crucial one, just enough truth to maintain plausible deniability. See, they can't lie perfectly because perfect deception would remove free will entirely. So they have to leave spillover, gaps, inconsistencies, whistleblowers, leaked documents, evidence that's just accessible enough that if you really look, you can find it. It's buried under enough layers that most people never will. The control structure has spillover too, because it has to, because reality itself is structured to preserve choice, to preserve consciousness, to prevent total enclosure. They can obscure the truth, but they can't eliminate it completely. So, let's apply the inversion test to this whole economic situation. The inversion test is, if you haven't seen my other content, is basically what we're told versus what's actually true. And the pattern across every domain is what we're given, but it's the opposite of reality. We're told that resources are scarce. There's not enough to go around. We need to compete. But resources are abundant. We have the capacity to provide for everyone. Scarcity is artificially created through hoarding and restricted access. We're told that money represents value. It's backed by productivity, but by gold, by something real. But money is created from nothing but private banks. It's debt. Every dollar in existence represents a dollar plus interest that someone has to pay back. The system mathematically requires infinite growth to sustain itself. But we're told you're free. You have choices. This is democracy. You're free to choose between options they provide. You can vote for representatives they funded. You can buy products they manufacture. Your freedom exists inside a cage you can't see because you're so busy surviving inside of it. We're told NASA explores space for the benefit of humanity. Science pursues truth objectively, but NASA produces unfalsifiable claims and spends up to $70 million a day without ever providing basic proof of their foundational assumptions or assertions. Science has become a priesthood that defends orthodoxy rather than questioning assumptions. You see the pattern? Every single major institution, government, banking, education, media, science is telling you the opposite of what's actually happening. And once you see the inversion in one area, you can find it in all areas. If they're lying about cosmology, maybe they're lying about history, money creation, physics, health, and even consciousness. The inversion isn't random. It's coordinated and it's systematic. Remember spillover from our other discussions? The decimal remainders that prevent perfect synchronization, that create nested hierarchies that never quite close. Well, I've been arguing that this is design. That spillover prevents the cosmos from locking into static perfection, which would eliminate free will and continuous creation. It would create determinism. Natural spillover equals necessary imperfection that enables choice, change, and evolution. But now, look what they've done with economics, for example. Fractional reserve banking. Banks hold 10% reserve, lend out 90%. That's a 0.9 ratio. It creates spillover in the money supply. Money multiplies through debt, never closing, always expanding. It's planned obsolescence. Products designed to fail just after the warranty expires. The spillover between expected lifetime and actual lifetime ensures continuous purchasing. Debt to GDP ratios. Nations spending beyond their means by exactly enough to require perpetual growth, but never quite collapsing. Spillover between income and obligation. And we have inflation targeting. Central banks aim for 2% annual inflation, not 0%, not 5%, but a specific spillover amount that ensures your purchasing power constantly erodes while economic activity continues. Do you see it? The pattern? They've taken the same mathematical principle, spillover, decimal remainders, prevented closure, and they've weaponized it. Natural spillover prevents cosmic synchronization to preserve free will. Artificial spillover prevents economic closure to ensure perpetual extraction. Same principle, but an inverted application. This is an accident. This isn't accident, to be clear. This isn't emergence. This is people who understand electromagnetic reality, who understand spillover architecture, who understand consciousness, and they're using that knowledge against populations kept ignorant of it. This is what I mean when I say everything is inverted. They take principles that exist for our benefit in natural creation and they reverse engineer them for control. And here's where we hit something really profound. If they have all this knowledge, if they understand electromagnetic reality and consciousness and spillover architecture, why don't they just take over completely? Why leave any gaps at all? The answer is because they can't. Reality itself won't allow it. Perfect deception would be perfect control, which would eliminate free will, which would collapse the entire system. Because consciousness requires choice to function. Awareness requires alternatives to have meaning. So they're stuck. They can obscure truth, but they can't eliminate it. They can make it difficult to find, but they can't make it impossible. They can punish people for seeking it, but they can't prevent seeking itself. This is why whistleblowers exist, why leaked documents happen, why regular people with cameras can disprove the globe Earth, why independent researchers can find inconsistencies in official narratives. The spillover in their control system isn't a flaw, it's a requirement. They have to leave enough truth accessible that you can choose to find it. Otherwise, they violate the fundamental structure of reality itself. And this is actually empowering. Once you understand it, because it means no matter how much they control, no matter how sophisticated the deception, no matter how many layers of gatekeepers and complexity and distraction that they add, truth is always accessible to consciousness if that consciousness genuinely seeks it. It's not easy, it's not handed to you, but it's accessible. The question is not, can we find truth? The question is, are we willing to look? Are we willing to sacrifice comfort, social acceptance, economic stability, our sense of certainty to pursue genuine knowing over comfortable belief? That's the choice that they can't take away, the choice they're required to preserve. So let's bring this back to the practical. Because it's one thing to understand the system and another to know what to do about it. They've stolen physical resources, land, water, food producing capacity, access to natural abundance. They've enclosed all of that. They've stolen your time through economic pressure, through the need to work constantly just to access basic resources that should be free. They've stolen collective knowledge through education systems that teach memorization over understanding, through media that provides information but not wisdom, through science that defends orthodoxy over investigation. But here's what they cannot steal. They cannot steal your consciousness, your awareness, your ability to observe directly and think independently. They can't steal your connection to source, to creation, to whatever you want to call the underlying reality that generates all of this. They cannot steal your free will. They can't steal your choice in each moment to align with truth or remain in comfortable lies. They can't steal your capacity for love, for community, for genuine human connection outside their economic systems. And this matters because a lot of people, once they wake up to how extensive the deception is, they fall into despair. They think, well, if it's this bad, if it's this coordinated, what can I possibly do? But that's another inversion. The system looks powerful because it's loud, because it's everywhere, because it has institutions and budgets and authority, but it's actually fragile because it's built on lies, and lies require constant energy to maintain. Truth just exists. It doesn't need defense. It doesn't need propaganda. It just is. So every person who wakes up, who starts seeing clearly, who stops feeding energy into the lie, that's a crack in their foundation. They need your belief more than you need their system. All right, so what do we actually do with all this? Because understanding the problem is crucial, but it's not enough by itself. Well, first, you have to stop participating in the deception where you can. And I mean this practically. I'm not saying go off grid tomorrow or stop working or anything dramatic. But look at where you're voluntarily giving attention and energy to things that you know are lies. Things that can be proven lies. Do you need to follow mainstream news that you know is propaganda? Do you need to defend positions you've never actually investigated or tested? Do you need to consume entertainment that keeps you pacified? Basically, think about where you can withdraw your consent through your actions of not participating. You can also start building genuine knowledge over memorized information. This means doing your own observations, your own measurements, your own thinking. Take pride in understanding this beautiful reality that was gifted to you. You are a creation of the Creator. This is a beautiful world, but if you think that you live in a cartoon or a video game, you'll never be able to genuinely appreciate the beauty of creation because you think this cartoon that they sell you is real. You don't need permission to test all things. You were born into this world and you're a free spirit. Don't let anyone convince you to acquiesce to the control system. You can also find other people who are asking real questions, not people who have all the answers. Be suspicious of anyone who even claims that. But people who genuinely are seeking, who are willing to be wrong, who value truth over being right. Because the isolation is part of the strategy. They want you feeling like you're crazy and alone. A community of like-minded thinkers breaks that. Also, you can use their own data against them. I don't need to make things up or rely on alternative sources. NASA's own documentation shows and admits composites. Government statistics reveal contradictions. Scientific papers contain assumptions that don't hold up under real scrutiny. The evidence for deception is in their official sources. You just have to read carefully. Pilots are trained by the FAA, NASA, and the military to fly over a flat, non-rotating Earth. And these are public documents. So let's zoom all the way out to make sure the core point is crystal clear. This isn't about flat Earth versus globe Earth. That's a topic for sure, but it's not the topic. This is about recognizing a pattern of inversion across all domains. Cosmology, where they invert the foundational structure of reality. Economics, where they invert abundance into scarcity. History, where they invert who did what and the when and why. Or health, where they invert causes and cures. Education, where they invert wisdom and memorization. Or spirituality, where they invert your relationship to source. Every major system is giving you the opposite of the truth. And once you see it in one place, you can find it anywhere or everywhere. That's the crucial thing to understand. This is not random. This isn't just human incompetence or natural evolution of institutions. This is people who understand electromagnetic reality using that knowledge to maintain control over the populations that are kept ignorant of it. They know consciousness creates reality through observation, so they control what you observe. Then they weaponize it by making you think it's your own choice to avoid looking into it. They encode it in their symbols while hiding the meanings from the general public. They know the Earth is a level and stationary electromagnetic dielectric plane. So they teach you it's a spinning ball in a la-la land to disconnect you from understanding how reality actually functions. You don't spend trillions of dollars obscuring something that isn't real. The massive effort they put into maintaining these lies is part of the evidence of the truth that they're hiding. Every layer of economic complexity is an admission that natural abundance would expose their extraction. Every gatekeeper defending the orthodoxy is an admission that the independent investigation would reveal contradictions. The lie requires constant energy, while the truth just sits there, waiting to be seen. Open your eyes, people.